This will be video number 16 in the odds and ends make and break engine. Today we're going to make the rocker arm. This opens the exhaust valve. It fits in here thusly, and when it's all together that'll open the exhaust valve. The first part we're going to make is this, and put the 3/16 pin in it. As I often do, I drew out this part so that I have the dimensions that I really need, and I don't get confused with dimensions that were, well, of course they're in fractions too, so I had to convert them. But I've already cut the piece, and we're going to go over to the height gauge and mark this off. It's 156 times 2 is 312. I'm going to put a mark there, and that will give me this arc here. Now all of this is more for looks than anything, so close is good enough. So I made a mistake here. I thought that was 218, and that's 281 on this end. It's actually a taper. 281. Okay. I'm going to go up here. I have one more mark here. This is 3/4 of an inch, which I left off the print. 750. Now, now I'm going to drill the holes in it, and the only reason I'm doing that is so I won't get confused about which end is which. First I'm going to put a spotting drill in and spot the 4 holes that I have. And then I'm going to change it a little bit and drill them through. These are going to be 440 tapped holes, because the other piece goes on top of this one. I got to put a number 44 tap drill in. And this is also a 440 tap hole. I get this out so that I can drill right through. I'm also going to drill this one through for and this is going to be a 3/16 reamed hole. Now that's a reamed hole. I got to get a reamer. Okay. Now this piece has a taper in it. So what I'm going to do is I have it marked at this end and marked at that end. I'm going to take and draw the taper on there with a scribe. See if I can see it. Get a good solid line there. Like I say, this is for aesthetics. I'm using a 2-fluke end mill, which I have rounded off the tips of, so I get a little radius in the corner there. So what I'm going to do here is just by eye, I'm going to line up that line, and to make it easier, I usually lay something on there that's about that thickness. That's pretty good. See if you can get down there and see that, Jim. you can see this end has to go down just a little bit. It's harder to tell with this, but when I put that up there, I think you can see that. Can you see it?
Yep.
So I'm just going to tap it down till I get it somewheres near. And somewheres near is close enough. That looks like it right there. I would say that's perfect. Whatever I say is perfect, is perfect. Now I'm going to just go between that and take that taper out of there. So I'm going to get down to depth. So I'm right up to this line here, so I'm going to set the stop. Now I'm going to set the other stop. I'm right to the line. And then I can go for the depth. That's almost to the line. Bring this up and start going across. So I'm going to take this out of here now and refresh one of these lines. I can't see it. There's only one line, two lines I have to put on it. As you can see, it's starting to take shape, but I got to cut this down. I think that that's a 1/2 inch wide. I got to measure that. So this end is 375. And that's where the two pieces go together, so the both of them have to be about exactly the same. Well, I got to go down a little deeper with the taper, and then I got to put it flat and do this one. You'll see the lines again. Okay. That's the finish of the taper. Now I'm going to lay this flat, and I'm going to cut this down to that line. Normally I would saw this out, but I injured my arm and my thumb, so I can't push things in the saw, so I'm going to mill it all. The sawing it out just makes it a lot shorter to do. So those of you who have been watching my channel have seen this jig before. I made this some years ago, and you'll see it's had a lot of evolution. When I first made it, I made it so it would bolt down to the center here. And then I fast realized that, well, most of the time I can just put it in the vise. I don't have to bolt it down tight. And the vise is much faster. And because this is exactly aligned, I know that everything is square, because I put this in the vise when I first made it, like that, and then I squared all sides. So everything is already squared. So if I have to make a setup, I can just take this out of the vise, and I put it over here, and make my setup, use my square, and then when I put it in the vise, I know that it's right. Well, the next thing we're going to do is this little, what would you call it, a reveal or little fillet down in here. And it's tapered in two directions. It's tapered in depth and it's tapered in width. And the way you do that is when you put it in the vise, you raise this end a little, no, you raise this end a little bit, and it goes deeper here. And by the angle you put it on, gives you the taper the other way.
Awesome.
I'll show you how that's done. So I've determined that that's 1 degree, and this little piece here, this piece here is set at 1 degree. I put this on here and fasten it down. If this line is correct, which it was for the other one, that's 1 degree, and I'm just going to bolt it down at the very ends where I'm not going to cut. And that should work fine. So when I did the last one, I'm pretty sure I put 40 thousandths under this end. So it's going to be 40 thousandths deeper here than it is up here. So what I'm going to do is make a couple of practice runs and see how it looks. And if I don't like it, I'll change the depth, the thickness of these two. I can either make it deeper or shallower at this end. Okay, so that's flat in the vise. And it's square. So if I run that tool back and forth, it should stay in the center of that taper. Let's see how close we are. Looks pretty good. I'm going to stop it right about there. Actually, where it stops and where it starts doesn't matter. It's just whatever you think looks good. And you're probably going to notice there's a little notch in this end. That was a mistake. I'm going to have to fill that in later. But it won't matter. Try to get down about 20. Then go back up and see how deep that is. So there's the finished part. I'm thinking that this may end up painted because of that little piece of solder that I had to put in there to fill in that spot, but I'll see how it looks when it's all finished. So this part is a little bit simpler. It has this brought down to, I think, I'll have to look it up, but I think it's a 32nd off of both sides, and then it tapers to the end. And I'm not going to do anything to this end, because what I'm going to do eventually, I'm going to just take a smaller round piece and silver braze it on here so it lines up exactly with the exhaust valve, and that'll be tapped. So that'll be what I put the adjustment for the exhaust valve into. But of course it'll be a lot smaller than this. Mill it to thickness 1/8 inch. Right, 3/8. This is 3/16. So I'm going to take 32 thousandths off of each side back to this point where they join. That'll be the first step. Side. Now I'm going to measure that and see how much I took off. I think it's a little over 32 thousandths. About 5. I took about 5 off, too much. But I'll just take 5 less off the other side. So I want to end up with 125 approximately. Doesn't really matter. It's going to be plenty strong. So I'll take off 25 instead of 30. In order to do that, I've got to slide these to the end because this is a step here. In order to do it flat, I have to leave that hanging out over. I just mark the other side so that this part is the same. That should be good. Just going to take that out of there and see how it's going to finish up. Pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, before I put the taper on this, it's still straight here. What I'm going to do is put these two in the vise and make them exactly the same height, because the next step is to screw them together with the bolts, and I have to put them in the vise the other way, and if they're not the same thickness, it won't hold it right. So I'm just going to put a 3/8 end mill in there and just take a real light cut off at the top of that, just to get them even. And that's almost it. I'm just going to take another 2. So this one is in front of that one, and I have the holes in that one, so I got to put it on this the way it's going to go. Make sure I have the orientation right, and then I'm going to put that in the vise and transfer the 2 tap holes that I've put in here into that one. Make sure I'm putting them in there right again. That one's on top. This is facing down, and that one's on top. So that's the way it goes. Now you see it grips them perfect because they're exactly the same size, and that's going to align them. Take a 44 drill and drill into this. You want to get a good deep hole, but not deep enough to hit my parallels. And take this out of here now. Move this up. Yeah. Now that is to be a clearance hole for a number 4 screw. 113, number 33 drill. That'll give me 1/1000th clearance. There it is. So now I'm going to drill those and tap them. Two of these 440 bolts here. See if they bolt together. I put a couple of bolts in there. As you can see, they line up perfectly. Now we're going to put the taper on this one, and that isn't fussy either, so we'll just get the tapers in it. It's 385, and I want to leave about 125 at least. You want 1/8 here, so 125 from 385. 260, so it's basically an 1/8 inch divided by 2 equals 130. So I'm going to just take off 125 on each side. Then at the other end, they want to take off basically a 1/16. So I'm just going to lay the ruler on there and draw that line and try to get the angle right. Okay. I'm going to put it on that line and move down about a 1/16. This is just going to be eyeball. And then just mill that off and go to the other side and do the same thing. That makes it easier. Here again, I'm just lining it up by eye. There's one side. Just going to take the burr off and flip it over and do the other side. Okay, there's the taper. As you notice, I've left a little more than an 1/8 inch here. That's because I was like 15 to 20 on each side. It's going to be a little stronger. It won't make any difference when it's finished. So I'm going to put this in the jig and try to see if I can just hold this end down, because there's a 30 thousandths gap. I might have to shim this up a little bit, but I'm going to bolt this down tight here, and then we're going to line it up by eye by putting a cutter in there, and then tie this down once I get it squared off. 3/16 round end mill is what I'm using for the little reveal. So I'm going to center that by eye, and then come back up here and center it again by eye and clamp this end down. It's going to come a little bit this way, right there. I think that'll do it. Okay, to make it easier, what I'm going to do is just come down and touch this, and make a mark, and see if that's in the center. That looks pretty good to me. We could get the caliper out and check it. But see, I can put a mark down the whole way down there. Now that there has to come this way just a hair. It looks pretty good to me. Now, I can obviously, if I see when I'm cutting that it isn't quite right, I can change it. Now, this is a light cut. I'll be able to see how good it is. Now I'm going to check and see how close it is. It looks like it's got to go that way just a little bit. Oh, that looks pretty good. I bet you that's within 5 or 10 thousandths of center. Down here it looks pretty good too. It's hard to tell. Very hard to measure there. Maybe I can measure it from here, but you can't see it. I can. Yeah. It definitely has to go that way, about 5 thousandths. It looks pretty straight, doesn't it?
It
so
does.
I think once I get to depth, it'll show up better. I'm only going to go in about 2 thousandths this time. What I'm seeing here is it's pretty deep at this end, but it's not into that end. So I'm going to take and loosen this up, and that comes up a little. Now I'm going to put 10 thousandths shim under there and see how much difference that makes. I've also got to tap it this way a little at the same time. In order to know what I'm doing, I'll put that bit right down close so I can see it. That looks good to me. I'm going to try another little cut. So the 10 thousandths did almost nothing, so I'm going to go 22. That one's 20. Let's see what that does. It seems like it's too much. I'm going to have to find a 15. That's a little too much. Okay, there's 15. That looks good to me. Pretty well centered. I'm going to take another cut of 5 and call it good. Now we'll take that out, see if we did it on the right side. Just kidding. What you're looking for is this part should be pretty straight In other words, that should be about the same width all the way down there. This one is tapered just a tiny bit, but also it should be somewhat centered. But once you put that on the machine, if there's a slight error, you won't notice it. What you will notice is big digs and so forth when you polish it. I put some bluing on it and rubbed it off so you can see the detail a little better. Now you see, this should have been up there just a hair. Now if I really wanted to get perfect, I could grind a little off of this. But once this is on the machine, you won't be able to see those details. You know, it's going way down there, and it's just, you'll just notice that the detail's there, but you won't be able to eyeball it and see if it's exactly right. That's why I just eyeball things, and looks pretty good. So I'll clean that up and file it, and when that's done, that'll be beautiful. And I'll probably paint that inside detail to make it stand out more. I could put powder coat on there and then rub off the outside. You know, the matching color of the engine in there. So the next thing to do is, I'm right in the center there, I'm going to drill the hole for the pivot. And that's a reamed 3/16 inch hole, I think. It says 3/16. I'll have to get the print. But and then the last thing, you put this pin in here, soft solder it, and put it back in the miller. Just grab it here and mill a flat on it. Put the flat on afterwards, and then it's perfect. It's actually, that's in the print. So we'll show you drilling the hole. So it's exactly 300 thousandths between them, more or less 303. So what I'm going to do is take this over to the height gauge, start from here and go up 150 and make a line. Hold that there, set this down here, and go up 150. That works better. And I put my line in there, and that should be the dead center. If I want to do it centered this way, you just have to put it here, measure it. Should be 375, but it's 10 over. So I'm going to go down 180, down to 3/16, 187, plus 5. So that's 192. And that'll be the center. So if this isn't perfect, it doesn't really matter. It's just the rocker. So if it's within 20 or 30 thousandths, you're probably fine. Okay. Now, you want to make sure that this is straight in the vise, because if it's not, it's going to be off in the engine this way. So this has to be, that hole has to go through there perfectly, and I'll show you how to check it. Sure that that's flat across there is this. We got 2 440. Yeah, 2 440. So now the top of this one should be at 2 440. Boy, it's pretty close. It's within 10 thousandths. But as you can see, it's got to go up just a hair. See if we can do that. It's within 2 or 3. So let's just tap this. It's going to be within 2 thousandths of straight. Going through there with a 1/8 inch hole. Then we're going to open it up to I will ream that you can see, that's pretty doggone square. It's within a couple of thousand. Well, it might be perfect. That's what you're looking for, because if it's on the motor, you know, and it's sticking out like this is no good. It's got to be pretty square, but that looks pretty good. Hard to get it. Yep. Hard to hold it in there, but we'll see. That would be the way to test it, I guess. See, that one's perfect. This one's, as you can see, perfectly aligned. So we're pretty much run out of time here. The only thing left to do is you press a piece of 3/16 in here that's 3/4 inch long and put a flat on the top of it like this one. And then when we get the engines together, I'm going to silver braze a round piece on here that's threaded to line up with the valve exactly. So that's the end of number 16. The odds and ends, hit and miss, and that was the basically the exhaust valve rocker arm, I guess you would call it. And next week I'm going to show you a little bit about finishing these off, and because I'm going to powder coat them, so I'm going to show you what I have for doing the fillets around here. And what this does is it seals it off, so if the oil that gets inside stays inside, and you can sop it out later. And I'm going to round some of these edges and so forth and clean this up. So I'll show you how I do that and what I'm using. And then I'm electroplating, so this is a special thing that I use. But you could actually, if you're spray painting, you can use anything. And I used an epoxy that was really good with water. What was it? PC7 or something that comes in like two old film containers. And when you wet your finger, you can slick that stuff down beautifully. And it's really nice. I think it's PC7. I'll find that out for next week. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. Thank you.